Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of Dr. Homebrew. And it is a full homebrew, panel here. We are going to do a commercial calibration of everyone's favorite beer, Paulaner Munich Lager. I'm excited about it as well. Then we have Brian Cooper has a beer that we're going to be drinking again. And I'm going to be talking about my pale ale. It is on tap. I just kegged it today. I might get some of it. I don't know, just to drink or whatever, but we'll see. So it's going to be, a fair amount of homebrew talk, which I'm pretty happy about. It's not all the time we get that on this show. We've been having a run of commercial calibrations, which I also enjoy because it's a great way to build Justin for commercial beers. So anytime I can do that is great.
We bought these. He bought them for us there. Basically, we were at the Hop Grenade recording one of the Dr. Homebrew episodes for him.
That's right.
And then he just said, just go pick out some beers you guys need for a show. It's cool. Put on my tab.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that was good.
Well, there you go. Why did you only get one of each then? You should tell because he won't know. Just tell him we need 4 of each for for the show.
That's what we should have done.
Yeah.
Did you know that Dr. Homebrew episode number 1 was released May 16th, 2013?
I did not.
Wow.
Are we going to
almost exactly 10 years ago?
Are we going to record on that date? Is that our next recording date?
Will probably be our 10th anniversary show.
Wow.
Basically. I mean, if it's released in mid-May, I don't know, or it might even be past that. The last show might have been our 10th anniversary
10
extravaganza.
years, man.
Crazy. It's crazy talk.
God. Can you
You
imagine?
know what you should do, JP? You should edit together like a greatest hits.
Uh-huh.
Like a compare and contrast episode 1 with the episode we're doing right now.
Yeah, you
Dumbass moments.
You lost me at you. You know what you should, and then I'm done. That's it.
I'll go through and find the most embarrassing things I've ever said, and we'll just have you compile them all. Like,
oh god,
and like,
look, if you pull time code, I would 85% do that.
And then we'll just have Brian's laugh interjected in between.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get some time codes for that, and that'll be hilarious.
Well, see, here's the thing. All I have to do is just pull your voices, isolating or reading your things or whatever, generate an AI voice. Then I can just write the script for the shows, have AI generate it, and that's our podcast. We don't have to do anything anymore. What do you think of that?
It'll be word salad that's SEO optimized.
Yes,
and it'll be fantastic. You'll get all kinds of advertisers and money.
Sure, and that's what anybody really wants. Speaking of things that people want, go to 5starchemicals.com right now. Sign up for their Homebrew Club program. It's a cool program. It really serves to unite everybody in the homebrew industry, not only just to spread knowledge, but also to teach people how to properly clean and sanitize your home brewing equipment before you fuck up your beer, which is really the leading cause of bad beer, is just improperly cleaned and sanitized. That's just it. You know what I mean? Fermentation is really important. It's probably the most important thing in your beer, and you want your fermenter, whatever it is, a conical or a carboy or a bucket or whatever, to be properly cleaned and sanitized. And 5-Star Chemicals is the best way to do that. But you go over there, sign up for their Homebrew Club program. You can get free product reviews, exclusive discounts, educational seminars, free swag, all that kind of stuff. Check them out. If you're going to be it, no, NHC already happened. It hasn't happened yet. What's NHC? When's NHC? You didn't do it.
What is NHC?
You were
NHC
judging.
Regional judging has been done.
Judging, but not the thing, but not the conference.
The finals will be judged at the conference, and that's in late June.
Late June, there you go. So if you're going to go to San Diego and go to NHC or HomebrewCon, be sure to stop by the 5-Star Chemicals booth and tell everybody there we said hi. And thank them very much for supporting the show, because without them, we honestly would not be doing this. And I've said that before, and I mean it.
And if you're going to Craft Brewers Conference, which is coming up May 7th through the 10th, which is in the future now, it might be in the past, this episode, go. I'm sure 5-Star is going to be at CBC also.
Quite possibly. Okay, I cracked open this lager. Cooper, tell me a little bit about this beer, man.
Well, actually, I'm having AI generate some comments about the Munich Helles style.
Do you want me to do that? I can literally do that right now.
I'm doing it right now. German Helles is a traditional beer style that originated in Munich, Germany, and is renowned for its crisp and clean character. Helles, which translates to bright or pale in German, is a pale lager known for its smooth and refreshing qualities. Let's dive into a detailed description of this beloved beer style, along with some important historical details.
Let's do it.
Appearance: German Helles pours a radiant golden to light amber color, displaying brilliant clarity. It showcases a creamy white head that persists for a while. Yes, you can actually replace our jobs with this fucking shit.
I know. I know.
God, that's almost like better than what I would say about it.
Well, you train it on our voices, you get it to have me say shit about how many pairs of shoes I own, and you're good to go.
Right. And then pretty soon you'll be able to just copy our voices. You won't even need us at all. Yeah. If you want better voices, you can get better voices.
Yeah.
I'm going to open this beer. That was a good start.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's open the beer.
This is the Paulaner Münchner Lager, and that is a Munich Helles, and we sourced it at the Almighty Hop Grenade in Concord, California.
Well, here, you want to know something? Here's the thing. Guess who this is? See if this works. Hold on.
Helles beer is a German-style lager that is pale in color and has a clean, crisp taste. It is characterized by its balanced, malt-forward flavor profile with a slight sweetness and low bitterness.
Whoa.
Well, it's been nice doing the show with you, JP.
Yeah. I got Bev reading.
Bevo's voice is much more pleasant than either one of ours.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if Terrence can do it. I mean, Terrence might be able to do it too. We never really know.
It's a German-style lager that is pale in color and has a clean, crisp taste. It is characterized by its balanced malt-forward flavor profile with a slight sweetness and low bitterness.
Are you shitting me? Is that real?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm impressed.
You have your voice in there?
I don't have my voice in here, no.
Yes, Brian, I am real cool.
Was that an AI or was that actually like a soundboard of Terrence?
No, it's AI. Yeah,
Wow.
I generated his voice. I generated Bev's voice for a bit on Ears Up. And then I also have Walt Disney's voice, but it doesn't really sound very good.
Wow.
Don't smoke.
Bev's voice, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
No, it sounds great. Yeah. Hers is better to copy. She has a good reading, whatever. Anyway,
by 2026, Bev will be the voice of every radio commercial and every internet commercial on Earth.
And so you can make her say anything in this.
Oh yeah, I'll make her say anything.
I
can make her say whatever you want.
This could be used for evil purposes, JP.
Absolutely.
I don't know that I trust this technology.
You shouldn't. It's a big talking point.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead. Munich Helles. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll skip the whole AI side of it. So the beer was created in Munich, 1894. All the pale Pilsner type beers were, being popularized in the mid 1800s. Pale beer became a thing. 1842, when Czech Pils was invented by Josef Groll, the Germans were pretty close to there and kind of noticed, like, hey, look at this stuff that's getting popular over there, and many different styles popped up that were either inspired by it or just copies of the Czech Pils adapted to the different countries. We talked about German Pils before, how it came over and the salt, higher sulfate content of water there in Germany is going to make it play a little different way. The thing about Munich, their beer is it's a very highly carbonate water, and the water in Munich is more ideal for dark beers because of that carbonate content. The acidity of the dark malts definitely plays a part in why the darker beers were popularized there. early on in the brewing history, but it seems like it must have taken an understanding of water. This is some stuff I've got from Techum too. When they put this beer out in 1894, Spaten created the original version of German Helles. It was, kicked out to compete with Pilsner type beers. But they must have known what was going on with the water to be able to, adjust it to make a pale beer without, the acidity of the dark malts in there, and make it work right.
Oh, you're saying they made it around the water because they knew what they had?
No, they learned by the 1894, they were learning how to work with their water and adjust it to. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Adjust the water to what they. Okay, the other way around. Okay.
If you just use the highly carbonate water, the beer wouldn't be right. It wouldn't. Yeah. That nice little, delicate malt sweet. It wouldn't be where it is. It would, be way too, too high of a pH, and the mash wouldn't have been in the right territory. It just wouldn't have converted right, and it would have been weird.
Okay.
But it's not weird. It's actually really good.
That's
and
delicious.
Most of you go into a German brewery, in Munich, there's the Helles and there's the Dunkles. Yeah, the Munich Dunkles, and the Helles just light, as AI, hinted at.
Yeah. AI bad.
It's a bright colored beer, and it is. Yeah, I mean, this is perfectly clear. It's a light yellow in color, brilliantly clear. It started with a nice foam stand of white foam, really finely formed, tight bubbles, and in the nose I get a little honey-like aroma, but it's just malt wise, it's it's Pils. That the mistake some people make is think, oh, it's a Munich beer, so it must have Munich malt in it, but that's not the case. It's a Helles. It uses Pilsner malt, and that's about it.
Well, if you go to I will say, Brian, if you go to the Polliner website and you go to the page for the Münchner Lager, they mention that Pilsner malt and Munich malt are used as ingredients.
You would, yeah. You can use probably a very light hand and a light Munich malt in there to give it a little character.
I suspect that's a few percent.
Yeah.
Just a little body in there.
The majority is going to be continental Pilsner malt. Traditional German hops like a Hallertau or,
Hallertauer tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition.
And strangely, the ingredients are only water, malted barley, and hops. I guess they don't use any yeast.
Yeah. That's the magic. Not as good.
Yeah, yeast is implied, but water has to be specified.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like how JP mentioned carbonation as an ingredient in beer, though. And
sure, why not?
A lot of these beers are forced carbonated. They're just forcing CO2 into the beer, which is naturally occurring as in the brewing process. But to get it up to bottled carbonation levels, you need to add some at the end or recapture and add. I like the breweries that recapture and add. That a lot of them are smart to do that, and it saves them money and less.
I was talking to a brewery that did that a couple years ago, and I was doing the session solo. And I forget the brewery name, but they were doing this. Krausening, I guess, and
Spunding.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, something like that. And the guy was like, yeah, it sort of does lend a quality, because when you have the CO2 and it's sort of like kicking off the phenols and the hop matter and whatever, you recapture that and it goes back into the beer, and it's sort of, he's like, I find that it adds a deeper quality to the beer that you can't get normally.
Instead of just seltzer.
Yeah,
quality.
Right.
It's more characterful beer.
Yeah. I don't know how true that is, but it was a good beer.
Well, with Krausening, you're re-fermenting the beer in itself, and
it wasn't
you're
that.
adding a partially fermented beer, but the spunding is keeping, increasing
keeping the CO2 in. Yeah,
I think it was spunding. Yeah.
But yeah, with CO2, CO2 being as a brief aside, it's a byproduct of gasoline and petrochemical refining. And as less and less oil is going to get refined over the years, CO2 is going to be more and more expensive, harder to get, kind of like during COVID when nobody drove and demand for oil went way down.
Yeah.
So if your yeast is making CO2 and you're going to need CO2 later, I mean, it only makes sense to capture it somehow, hang on to it, and use it.
Agreed.
Right. So back to the beer. It's a gold colored German lager, smooth malty flavor and a soft dry finish. Subtle spicy floral or herbal hops and restrained bitterness help keep the balance malty but not sweet, which helps make this beer a refreshing everyday drink. It's going to be like, a 5%er ish. 4.7 to 5.4 is the range. So it's a soft, easy drinker. It's going to be.
God, it's so good. And, compared to the last show we did with the strong bitter, was like the window was like 2% alcohol.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This is a very narrow window, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
A fraction of a percent. Yes. The Germans are very particular.
Very precise.
So the malt quality, it does have that pilsy kind of little grainy sweet malt in the nose. This is actually a pretty nice bottle of Helles. I'm liking the way this one is working here.
Yeah, me too. It's hard to get fresh.
The Paulaner is 4.9%, so you can drink several of these and not have a big problem. It's standard strength beer. It's not 7.5% IPA.
Right.
7% pale ale.
Yeah. So the beer does have it's fairly dry, but it's soft. They mentioned that they got a soft and dry finish, not crisp and biting. So it's that malt plays in a way, and it's just like really smooth malt presentation. Not a lot of different malt characters to it. This, you said this one has a little bit of Munich in it, alongside the Pils malt, but it's a really smooth beer. And mouthfeel wise, just kind of medium down the line, medium carbonation, smooth, well lagered, really well lagered. And if you get into style comparisons, the beer is really similar actually to the Munich Dunkel in the way that the malt is balanced to the bitterness, but it's going to be a lot less malty sweet in nature. And it's color wise, it's obviously light rather than, darker, reddish brown or reddish copper colored, a lot less rich in the malt flavor. If you compare it to a German Pils, it's going to have less crispness to the beer and less hop character throughout.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
It's kind of in that character. If you compare it to a fest beer, it's a little less alcohol, a little less body. It's light bodied, it's refreshing, it's clean. I mean, this is what light beers were meant to be, honestly. The balance is wonderful in this beer. It's got just enough hop to come up and, hey, okay, I'm going to balance the malt out, but it's still that clean, hey, you malt, I'm going to balance you out just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
you sound very much like George McFly from Back to the Future right there. Hey, get your damn hands off of her.
Yeah.
Fucking Crispin Glover. Talking about beer. This beer is malty.
Yeah. Put his voice in the AI.
Oh my God.
He'd be pretty good.
I have to train it.
Um,
I'll get your voice in there, Cooper. Don't worry.
All right.
I'll make you say whatever you want.
I am worried.
Yeah, you should be.
If you get these really fresh in Munich, they can have a little more richness in the malt and the hop character that'll fade over time. When you get it exported, it'll have faded. But this bottle tastes more like the fresher, Helles and bottles that I've had over there. Maybe not draft Helles, but like been to Germany a few times, and this is the bottle somehow is just well cared for, and it's working really well.
How different is it? You've been to Germany, you've had this at the source, so to speak.
Yeah.
Give me a range. Give me like a 1 to 5. 5 being exact.
The surprising thing, it's not oxidized at all. I'm not picking up any hint of cardboard or paper in this beer, which is amazing to me for a beer that's traveled this far.
Yeah, I agree. This is not really oxidized, or I don't really get any of that, and I'm usually pretty sensitive to it.
Yeah. So it's the flavors have the hop is going to be maybe a touch more noticeable, then the malt's just going to taste a tiny bit fresher than this when you get it from draft there. But this is really damn close. I would go to the Hop Grenade and buy a few more bottles of this.
Okay, interesting.
This is a really good Helles. If you get the Paulaner Münchner Lager and it's been sitting around on a shelf, this was stored cold and it was properly cared for there. Who knows what happened during the travel, but wow, I'm going to drink this whole thing. This is wonderful.
All right, so where we're at with the description
Okay.
or whatever.
Yeah, it uses a clean German lager yeast to ferment traditional German hops. Each brewery has their own lager yeast they like to use. Continental Pilsner malt mainly. You can add minor specialty ingredients, but it should keep it light enough that it's not going to get too rich or dark.
You know what sometimes I think about is like in 17, 1800s, even 1900s, but probably today also, I don't know, whatever. German breweries that are just coming up, or old, breweries in general on the continent, just coming up. It's like, did they isolate their own yeast? I mean, I know they didn't know what yeast was till Pasteur kind of figured it out, but like, are they sharing brew paddles, or they're like, oh, this is special, or they're trying to be like, I want to go to Hans's brewery and figure out what he's doing to make his flavorful beers so flavorful. And they, took a spoon or what, you know what I mean? Like that whole like magic of like, oh, the brewing spoon is what really has all the gunk on it, all the yeast on it. It's like that kind of like, corporate espionage, but in the brewer's world, because they didn't really understand it. I don't know. Sometimes I think about that. Thought I'd share that with you.
Imagine that in 1894, the beer probably, when you would get it fresh, it might have tasted similar, but it probably was a different animal back then.
Yeah, I think so too.
So as far as we've come with isolated yeast strains over the years.
Yeah, now we're just
it was
making shit up. Yeah,
a blend of yeasts and bacteria as well in there, and it would turn sour over time probably too. So you'd have to drink it fresh. I don't know, but the Germans, well, they're pretty careful, and they brewed. They kept the beer. In the, lagering the beer in caves and stuff in the summer. A lot of times they knew what they were doing to make the beer right with the lagering, and I don't know how it would be interesting to travel back in time and taste what you would taste in Munich.
Oh my
back
God.
then.
Yeah, because I bet it tastes like shit. I bet it's not good. It can't be good.
But,
yeah.
It can't be. It's like if you were eating a cake or ice cream or some shit. I mean, maybe not ice cream, right? But any baked good or a pastry or something like that. Back then, even just anything you cook, it's not going to be as good as it is now. It can't, because they didn't understand the chemistry of it. They're just like, you cook it. I don't know, whatever.
I mean, this is like we've had maybe 40 something years of craft beer history here. This beer came out when there were 40 something years of pale colored beer having been out. And it was, I would compare this to like the IPA of the current day craft beer movement.
Okay.
As a trend, these beers just spread like wildfire, and light colored lagers became the thing.
I understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
40 years.
That's a
good, like, look at this. This is different. That brown, smoky smelling sour beer that we had before, it was probably still a little.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, man. It was not this. I guarantee you 100%. No. It was not crystal clear, straw-colored goldenness. But
it was probably very good, and the brewmasters knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
it was probably a very tasty experience compared to what they had drank before.
But that is interesting, where it's like this is, essentially the IPA of the time where everyone's clamoring. And I can imagine it's like, oh, there's something that's so paradigm shifting in the beer world. It's like, well, I got to do it.
Right.
It's the hazy IPA. It's the fucking, brute IPA or whatever.
Imagine a dystopian future 100 years from now when all there is IPAs and you can't get any other style. There are 5 main breweries that we've gone through another prohibition when, Trump wins again or something. And
you know what I would do? I would suck it up. I would buy it, and then I would just water it back with carbonated water. That's all I would do.
I don't know. I'm just imagining
weird
things, but it went so far that these pale beers took over. And then in America, prohibition happened. It got watered down into the lowest common denominator beer. And then early 1970s, that was all you could get pretty much, unless you got an import beer, a green bottle beer that would tasted skunky, and that was something special. It was, all you could get was pale lagers pretty much, and a few specialty beers, very, very few. But I didn't,
It's 2079 after the robot wars. All that is left is watered down IPA. Session IPA at 3%. And then we have another craft beer revolution of lager.
I love
of
that.
Helles.
So
you gotta survive the robot wars first, JP.
Yes, absolutely.
Upon tasting a German Helles, you'll experience a harmonious interplay between malt sweetness and hop bitterness. The flavor profile revolves around a clean, bready malt backbone with a slightly toasted character. Well, I'm not getting it toasted. The AI is a little wrong here, I think. But yeah. Throw that shit away. Sorry. So the malt does dominate the hops in the palate and finish and aftertaste. That's the difference. One of the differences between Pils and a Helles. The Helles is a fair amount more malt focused. Still has enough hop to balance, and it's a nice, clean, noble hop. But the malt is the showcase here. That clean, German Pils malt. It's going to be the star of the show here, but in a balanced way. Yeah, IBUs are going to be 16 to 22 kind of range there. There's a lot of the examples that are listed in the style guidelines are pretty much some of them you can find here, but if you go to Munich, definitely visit Augustiner. That's probably my favorite brewery it's probably my favorite brewery in the world. Their Helles is really nice. Hopper Shore, Münchener Gold.
Augustiner is
nice.
Awesome. Jay used to talk about that a lot, and he brought one back that was 2 weeks old, and it was like between that and West Veteran 6, the green cap. That was it, dude. That was it. Those two beers were amazing.
Go get the prototypical, the Spaten Münchener Hell. Weihenstephaner, their original Helles is good too. Oh, there's a little misspelling on the app here. It's HELES on the Apple app.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway. So it starts with the malt with a little sweetness. You get a little grainy sweet malt flavor, soft and rounded on the palate, medium to low bitterness. Medium low to low bitterness. It's not really that much bitterness in here. But yeah, again, soft and dry finish, not sharp and biting. I'll repeat that because that's really key to the style. It has to be soft. It is dry, but it doesn't that sulfate bite. And that's kind of what we're talking to on the last show, is that in the ESB, that's the sulfates make the hops play differently. If you added a ton more sulfates to this beer and, Burtonized the water or something, for God's sake, why would you do that? But it would just be so weird. It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be as soft.
And I think that's
delicate.
I think that's what you get when we were talking a little bit last show about Belgian triples, where you have a lot of breweries who don't really make them all the time. They sort of make one or two because there's a slight demand, or the brewer wants to go like, oh, I want to get off the chain real fast. I want to make a weird beer. But there's no history behind it. There's no practice of it. And sometimes you can get a Helles that's overly sweet, malty, or the brewer doesn't really understand. It's like too bitter. And you're like, I just don't know. And in my opinion, this is why lagers, let me rewind. This is why craft lagers haven't necessarily caught on. I don't think it's because everyone wants the big flavor impact, but it's because these beers are so easy to fuck up. And they're so easy to go weird. Yeah. When you have them perfect, it's amazing. But the only way you can get them perfect really is, from the source. And by the time they travel over here, it's not great.
Have your brewer trained in Germany. I mean, go through the, the Doemens program, that go train over there under German brewmasters, and you'll learn how to do it. There's some local breweries here, like, Wondrous and Emeryville does a really good job with their lagers. And Win over there, he knows what he's doing. He's trained over in Europe for sure. There's local breweries here and there where when you go in and taste their lagers, it's a different thing, and it's a better quality experience.
Yes,
but like early microbrew times, you got a Pilsner or something at a craft brewery. And
even now, man,
it was okay, and even now it's still the breweries really have to know what they're doing. Most of them are just making cold IPAs with their lager yeast. So.
You don't like cold IPAs, do you? That's the second time you've mentioned cold IPAs.
No, I like them.
Okay.
It's not something I drink a ton of.
No, I was just because I was just very curious. Like this, it's the second time you mentioned them as like like an offhanded, well, it's like cold IPA. I mean, it's fucking whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I recently did a presentation for our club on cold IPAs because I found a lot of people were asking me, "What's this cold IPA thing? Isn't it just an IPL?" And I had to go in and kind of explain the difference. And we could do that on another show if we wanted to. But
yeah, I think we do.
You
know what? We could probably get Sully on here to talk about it.
We should.
Yeah,
I would love to.
I'll reach out to
him.
Sully. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah. Coming back from your house, JP, I was listening to Bruce Strong.
No, don't do
that. And Jamil was talking about cold IPA. And what's interesting to me, it sounds a lot like steam beer, where you take a lager yeast and you ferment it a little bit warmer, closer to 60.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's not, or a Kolsch. So you're not making a lager, but you're not making an ale either. You're making what essentially is a steam beer. And that I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, right. Kind of keeping the big esteriness out of the way of the hops, which are the star of that show. And the star of this show, it's the Pilsner malt and just enough hop to balance, and just clean lagering, amazingly clean lagering, and it's such a wonderful beer to just sip on a Machstein or a half liter in Germany. And if you get the chance, just go to Munich. And that's all I'll say on that. We can take a little break after this. What do you think?
I love it. Shar, anything to add?
No, not really. I really enjoy this beer a lot. This is one, I've drank most of this 12-ounce bottle just while we're having this discussion.
Oh, yeah, it's all gone.
Because it's just that good. This is this is classic drinkable. There's not a thing wrong with this beer. This is, it's balanced. It's got some hops. It's got some malt. It's not super complicated, but that's part of the attraction.
Where would you score this beer, Brian? I have a number in my head, and it's, I don't know if you'll match me or go higher.
I'd probably call this like low 40s, maybe like 43, 44.
I would
maybe
go
45.
45, 46, honestly, with this example.
Yeah,
it's
and I would say 43 just to not be too out that end of the bell curve. But there's really not much of anything. I don't know what I would do to improve this.
But this is getting into
45, 46 might be appropriate for this.
It's outstanding. It's a world-class example of the style, and it's well cared for, and it's almost it's as fresh as you're going to get it in a bottle here. It's just, we picked good bottles there at the Hop Grenade. Kudos to them for storing it well.
Oh yeah, I've had Helles's that are just kind of blah. Yeah, they don't have the. Helles is not as bitter as a Pilsner, but that doesn't mean it's just a malty mess with nothing, with no bitterness to back it up. There's a firm bitterness here, but it's not a Pilsner, and it's clearly not a Pilsner, but it's still there's a firm bitterness. There's Pilsner malt. There's, I guess, a little bit of Munich malt, according to Paul Honor. But I don't know what I would do to make this better.
But they were brewing for 200 something years before Helles was invented. They 1634 Paul Honor.
Yeah, how many generations was that? 3 generations, something like that. I forget what a generation actually is defined by, but that's like a massive amount of knowledge to build on. And then this happens. That's wild.
More than just 3. Yeah. 200 years. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were brewing 150 years before the revolution.
a dozen generations. Yeah. Just 20, 30 years, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
All right. Well, that was good, everybody. Hang on. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about Brian's whatever he gave us. I have no idea. And maybe a little pale ale talk. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh,
well, it depends on how good you guys are. Hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
What's up, homebrewers? Hey, let me ask you a question. You spend a lot of time making your beer taste the way you want it to, right? Some of you even send beers into Dr. Homebrew for feedback. Well, the next logical step in your creativity is to craft some labels for those beers. And there's nobody better at creative labels than GrogTag. Their easy-to-use designs let you turn out some pretty amazing stuff like labels, bottle caps, coasters, even six-pack carriers with minimal effort on your part. They have a range of label sizes that fit any vessel you can think of. Bottles, cans, growlers, kegs. GrogTag has you covered. Head over to grogtag.com today and check out their line of amazing, fully customizable templates and get your beer looking its best. Grog tags are water resistant, reusable, and will have your naked bottles looking great in no time. That's grogtag.com, and be sure to use code BNARMY at checkout to save 10% on your order.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, thanks for hanging around, everybody. We are back, and we have Brian Cooper's beer. Cooper, what is this? Is this another hazy IPA that we're going to be loving?
Are you sure it's my beer, or do you think AI brewed the beer?
Man, here's what I think. I had told Sully, when this whole Chat GPT thing really blew up, I was like, you know what you need to do, buddy? Is you're in San Francisco, you need to make a beer, have Chat GPT make the beer, make the recipe, brew the beer, have AI generate the label, like do all. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. And like now 100 people have done it, and he didn't do it. I was like, man, you missed out.
Recipe for it.
Which I did it, and it's cool. And like my idea was to have Chat GPT write a backstory of the beer style as well. And like I sent him a whole example of it, and he's like, I don't know, man. I don't have time for this shit. Fucking child's like he has like a real business to run, and I'm sitting here fucking around with a robot. It's just, I don't know, man.
Too much time on your hands, JP.
I do. If anyone's hiring, I need a job. I need something to do during the day, man. God damn it. I'm so fucking annoyed with myself. Cooper, what is this, man? Looks semi-hazy.
Oh, it's hazy? Oh, sorry.
Mine's crystal clear.
Is it?
I haven't poured mine yet, but it's been in the fridge for.
Okay.
What did you do? Shake your beer up?
Yes, that's exactly what I did. I think Lee started that rumor, how I abuse the beers. And I am gentle-ish with beers.
Gentle-ish. Okay. Well, I'm asking you to judge this as a 19A.
19A. Okay. What is that? What category is that? I just straight up IPA?
No.
American Amber.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's American Amber Ale.
You're okay. So Cooper, you're messing with us. This is a BJCP class to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Shar, go ahead. Judge it as a 19A then, I guess.
All right.
Are you serious? Cooper, that's really what you want him to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an American Amber. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. Brian, are you in a homebrew club?
Yes, I started the homebrew club called the Mad Zymergists, and we're going to have words with those mad brewers down in Bakersfield. But, and those other guys that are like wear mad scientist garb around HomebrewCon. I have pictures of me almost coming to fisticuffs with some of those people. I'm not really one that takes violence lightly, but I mean, our thing kind of is being mad scientists.
Yeah. Well, you do know an IP guy.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super handsome too. A little short, but super handsome.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's maybe getting some hair back with some, cheap Kirkland minoxidil. But
okay. No, you can judge this.
Hell yeah, brother! Embrace the chemistry.
You know what? I'm living the Kirkland lifestyle.
Do it.
You know what? I did not I did not get into the minoxidil for years because it was expensive as hell.
Yeah.
And when I found out you could get like a 6-month supply for $20 from frickin' Kirkland, I'm like, I'm on this shit and I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see what happens. I think I'm getting more hair.
There you go.
I've seen a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, anyone that wants to try it, it's cheap, it's generic, it's Kirkland, and you can't go wrong. So, all right. So it was in a bottle. It was appropriate size, cap, fill level, all that looking good. Aroma, medium hop aroma, which still, as it's warmed up like 3 hours, it's still maybe medium high. I get like plum, tropical fruit character out of the hops. There's low malt aroma. Definitely takes second chair to the hops. No, but there's no off aromas, but there's really no caramel. And in an amber ale, it's funny how we keep talking about caramel malt a lot tonight. There is sort of a caramel character of amber ale that is really kind of missing from this. Having said this, it's really clean. The hops are appropriate. There's no off aromas, so I gave it 8 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance, it's clear with slight polyphenol haze. It's funny how much different the samples are between myself and JP. It's a medium gold color, lighter than expected for style. Head is low and persistent. I gave it 2 out of 3 because it's really more of a golden color than an amber color that you would expect from, an American amber ale. So what do you, I can't see your screen.
Oh, that's just the color on the app. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Amber.
But it's maybe a little lighter than I would have expected. Maybe I'm colorblind. I'm a middle-aged white man. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my color perception. I don't know.
No, please continue.
Flavor. Initially, the flavor is a medium tropical fruit, stone fruit hop flavor. The malt flavors are a little muddled, but everything's balanced in mid-palate. The bitterness and the malt flavor. It's well attenuated. The finish is moderate length and oriented toward hop flavor. It's missing, again, like with the aroma, it's missing the caramel flavor expected for style. It's kind of interesting. Now that, again, this has been sitting out for 3 hours. It's probably a good
classic,
probably a good 68, 70 degrees. Could be higher. And I get like a little bit of a minerally metallic flavor that I didn't when I judged this about, 40 minutes out of the fridge. And it's really not necessarily a fair thing to say because you're not going to drink this out of a case sitting in your living room or something. You're going to refrigerate this some. So
yeah.
I don't know that that's a fair criticism, but I gave it 12 out of 20. It's not quite hitting the flavor profile of an American amber. Mouthfeel, 5 out of 5. Medium body, carbonation's medium low. No warming, neither creamy nor astringent. As it's gotten, I'm not going to change my score because it's not fair if it is sitting out for 3 hours, 4 hours to judge it like this. But I do get a little bit of astringency, maybe from minerality at this point. But again, I don't know. I'm not going to change my score. I don't think that's a fair criticism with it being this warm now. Overall impression, 6 out of 10 for a total of 33. I like this beer a lot. It's hop forward. There's not really off flavors that you would get under normal drinking conditions. But my issues are recipe issues and not technical. This comes across as more of a pale ale or an IPA than it does an amber. It's not just the color. It's also the aroma and flavor. It's missing kind of that caramelly, richer hallmark that you expect. Yeah, and if you look at the history and characteristic ingredients, neutral pale ale malt, but also medium to dark crystal malts, hoppy, caramelly beers. It's the progenitor of that whole kind of style. And those different styles. And as craft beer and homebrew is turned away from crystal malt, caramel malt, these aren't nearly as popular and they're a lot harder to find than they used to be. But this just doesn't strike me as an American amber. I would, to fix this, next time I brewed this, I would, add some, depending on whether you had some caramel malt or crystal malt in the first place, I would increase that or just add it in the first place. but I think it's technically pretty good. I just think it's my criticisms are recipe based, and the way that Brian's kind of smiling, I'm thinking he may have pulled a fast one on us with what he gave us the judge. So
I think
but
so too.
Thank you for sharing this beer with us, Brian.
Well, let me hit it real fast. I'm
hit it.
I'm on the
You're gonna hit it and quit it.
I'm gonna hit it and quit it. Then I'm gonna take it to the bridge next. 19A American Amber Ale. Overall impression:
2 times.
an amber, hoppy, moderate strength American craft beer with a caramel malty flavor. That is not this beer. This balance can vary a bit, with some versions being fairly malty. This is not it, and others being aggressively hoppy. This is sort of it, I guess. The definition between hoppy and bitter is a muddled one. I think that needs some clarification sometimes. When you say hoppy, I think a lot of novice beer drinkers mean bitterness. And obviously, if you're reading this, you're not a novice beer drinker, but aggressively hoppy, there's no hoppy. I mean, there's a lot of hoppy aroma. It's very bitter. It says hoppy and bitter versions should not have clashing flavors with the caramel malt profile. So it's leaving it open to be bitter, which this is very bitter. But there's really not a whole lot of caramel malt. I mean, if you look at that, it's very straw colored, light golden colored. Yeah, low to moderate hop aroma. That's not this. This is, I would guess, medium to high hop aroma. I mean, it's very, very aromatic.
I agree.
American or New World hop varieties: citrus, floral, pine, resinous, spicy, tropical fruit. Yes. Citrusy hop character is common but not required. It's here. It's more, I think, resinous pine than anything, but I mean, it smells great. Moderate to high hop flavor, with characteristics typical of American or New World hop varieties. Malt flavors are moderate to strong, and usually show an initial malty sweetness, followed by a moderate caramel flavor, and that's, and on and on and on. Definitely an IPA, definitely not an American Amber Ale. If I was scoring this, I would probably go 20, 25, I would guess.
Okay.
You guys,
just because it's off.
Just because it's off, and you guys tell me if that is an appropriate score for something like this. I would be very interested in your feedback on that.
Yeah. Well, good. 21 to 29 misses the mark on style and or minor flaws.
Okay.
So,
I was a little generous because A, it's Cooper, and B, it's Dr. Homebrew, and I didn't want to shit all over this beer.
Oh, shit on it, baby!
No, please do. It's okay.
I think it's a good beer.
It's just the style is wrong.
Yes, I agree with you. I think this drinks really well like a mid-aughts IPA. There's caramel there, and this beer is like a nostalgia beer where it's maybe a little over bitter for my personal taste, but it's that IPA with a little bit of caramel in it. It's like, this is what IPA should be like, man. We got way of the caramel. We lost the Jesus path. We lost the path to Jesus. We need to come back, embrace the caramel just a little bit. And but it's definitely not an amber ale. Yeah. So Cooper, talk to us, please.
You guys are both right. This is definitely not an amber ale.
But it's a Pilsner, and you're both wrong.
No, it's not a Pilsner.
What is it?
So what it is the continuation of my thing where I brew these. I've been brewing hazy IPAs and making you drink them, JP, just because I like to watch the look on your face when you have to drink a hazy IPA.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But then I decided to make a West Coast IPA out of my hazy IPA recipe. So I pretty much almost nothing has changed from the hazy IPA recipe. And the hazy IPA, I think the last one was Super Starry Haze or Hazy Siganimo, I called it. It's Citra Galaxy, Nelson Mosaic is just the hop combination I landed on for that. I made it on the Pico Brew, and I was like, I made a hazy that I was happy with, and the last one came out a little stronger. This one, I kind of okay. So my kid was helping me brew, and
what is he, about 40 now? 38?
He's double digits, just double digits.
God.
As of last month, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But so he's like, Al, can I taste some grains? I give him some grains. Like, okay, hand me that bag. because there's a little acid malt in this beer because it's a light, it's a pale beer, just to adjust and in the hazy, it helps to stabilize the haze from what I've learned, and it actually seems to help with that. In this one, I'll like, hand me that, that packet of malt there, that's my acid malt. And I grabbed it and I just weighed out a 1/4 pound for a 2.5 gallon batch, which is, half a pound in a 5 gallon batch, basically equivalent. And then I put it in and milled it, and I look, and it's melanoided malt.
Ooh,
I'm just like,
okay,
that's not what I wanted in my beer. And,
Oh no.
I've tried to keep it, like there's no caramel malt in this beer.
There's no caramel malt in this beer. Wow.
And that shouldn't be surprising. I'm sorry.
It is surprising to me. It's surprising.
I'm messing with you guys a little bit, but like the melanoided malt like twisted it in a way, and I was kind of happy with the beer.
It's not bad. It's very like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. So how would you score it if it
beer.
was entered as an IPA, an American IPA? How would you score it then? Just switch gears.
34, 36.
Okay.
For me, I think
I should have.
For me, it's too bitter.
Yeah.
Just off rip, it's too bitter. The bitterness is there. It's a little borderline aspirin-y.
Okay.
For me, and admittedly, I don't drink a lot of IPAs, so I could be way off. But Shar, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that I scored this too generously, and going back on this is not an amber, and this should have been in that 21 to 29 range, and I realistically this is like a 28 maybe, and as an IPA, I might go as high as 34, 35, because there's not really, until it gets really like room temperature hot like now, there's not really any off flavors. When it's room temperature hot, it's kind of minerally. It's maybe slightly metallic, but under any normal drinking circumstances, you're never going to taste that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this whole thing was kind of just an experiment to see what it would do, because it was, to me, it was like the malt was pulling away from the hops, and I put a ton of hops in this, the same amount that I put in those hazies. And the malt was starting to pull away from the hops a little bit. And it's weird how it's gotten this way, but it's like, have ambers drifted lighter? Probably not. They're not that popular right now. But I entered it as an IPA in a competition. I won't say which one, but I got some score sheets back, and I'll just read them to you.
Okay.
The first score sheet. So I entered it as a 21A American IPA, even though it's 7.5%. It's right at the. It's
7.5%. Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
And the alcohol sweetness might be playing a role here too.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. All right.
So, and it was like really hard to clear it, because I used my hazy recipe, and it has so much wheat and oats in it that it was hell to clear it. I had to find it like twice with the biofine to finally get it to clear out, and bottled it from a floating dip tube after it had finally settled out in the keg and was finally kind of clear. So American IPAs can go up to 7.5, so it's right at the high top end of American IPA. Score sheet I got back from competition I entered, first word on the score sheet under aroma is armpit.
Armpit. Man, I love judging so much.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Armpit, cat pee, black currant, and then something
Black currant.
else. HMMP? I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Gym socks.
maybe HTTP? No, not HTTP.
No.
The Cheerios
4MMP?
piss, maybe.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Gym socks.
Gym
Simcoe,
cocks.
question mark?
That's what it is.
That's
man.
even worse.
Yeah. It smells like penises at the gym. Fucking 0 out of 4.
New Zealand hybrid hop, garlic smell. Very interesting. Mosaic fruit character coming out as the beer is warming. Wild. Had me doing double takes as it changed in glass. Okay. I mean, this was a dramatic drinking experience, to be certain. Yeah, the sheet's not bad, but I would never write the word armpit on a score sheet. I'm sorry.
Dramatic. This is a dramatic drinking experience.
That was So
My God,
flavor.
this beer put me through therapy for 4 sessions.
Let me read you the.
I was almost done.
Now,
I was almost done. I was almost out of the loony bin, but this beer sent me back in.
They pulled me back in.
I'm about to go in. As I read this sheet, I just find myself wanting to pull my hair out a little bit. But
well, if you do, we know how to get it back. We go to.
This is actually the better of the 2 sheets that I got because it had more descriptive language on it and was fuller than just 1 line each line. But the flavor section says garlic stuffed sock drawer approach with some good tropical and stone fruit in the mid palate and finish. A building bitter residual, some oxidation notes, stale, sweet, papery character. That's the flavor description.
Garlic stuffed gym socks.
Garlic stuffed sock drawer.
Garlic stuffed sock drawer approach. So the implication there is you did it on purpose. That is the fucking worst description. That's not good. That's insulting.
So
I don't think you want to be. I don't
actually...
think you want to be insulting on your score sheet. You don't want to insult the brewer. Garlic stuffed sock drawer is never a compliment in any sort of mixed company.
Anyway, I
don't like it. I don't like it. Who is this person? It's Char, isn't it?
Yes, Brian Char judged my beer in competition and ripped it apart. He gave it a 25. No.
But whoever wrote that must have shoved garlic in their sock drawer at some point. Otherwise, how would they know how that smells like?
Or they thought they were being clever. I think a lot of judges they feel like they're in creative writing classes instead of a beer.
The judges seem to agree on the garlic, and as I taste it, I do kind of get a little garlic in it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't use it as the first descriptor for the aroma or the flavor. Garlic, anything after that,
the aroma,
it's not that garlicky.
Here's the full aroma description of the other judge. They're not BGCP, but that's okay. They're anyway. Citrus, ripe fruit with catty and garlic. That's the full aroma description.
That I get. That I understand.
Yeah.
And then the appearance said amber and clear with low head retention.
Maybe light amber.
I don't know what kind of glasses they were drinking it out of.
Yeah, probably a red Solo cup.
It's amber. It looks amber from the top through.
Yeah, maybe like a light. I would say like a dark,
red.
Like dark golden, maybe, but maybe light amber if you're being generous. But
the mouthfeel is nice body with carb that's a little light. Overall, is good overall beer, but pushing the limits for catty.
Light amber. I don't know if I've ever ordered an amber ale and gotten this color of beer, but
no, yeah. So no, I just
clean your glass there, JP. Jeez.
I did. There you go. Yeah.
I was kind of just a little irritated. I mean, they both scored it at 32, so at least they agreed.
32. Okay,
it's not as an American IPA.
Well, see, I mean, I guess, and I think the part of the problem is, for me, those comments would lend me to believe that it was worse than the 32.
Yeah,
because they seem overall sort of on the negative side, and I think that's a lot of people's problem with judging in competitions, at least it was mine, is that it's more of an attack rather than a description of what they're tasting.
Like fault finding.
Fault finding, yes. Right. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. Let's wrap up the discussion, and we'll
solve
get out
my
of here.
head problems when we come back.
Yes, but I
can't.
Twitch
that's been developing.
Well, maybe enzymatically. I don't know. Hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
The leader in affordable, high-quality kegerators is here. Introducing Komos, the kegerator designed with serious beer drinkers in mind. It features an all-stainless steel draft tower, a major upgrade over traditional chrome-plated brass towers, and Komos keeps your new tower cold with their air-cooled tower fan, wrapping your beer lines in frigid coolness. Your beer is poured from innovative forward-sealing faucets that don't leak, so they stay cleaner for longer. Dual gas inlets on the rear of the fridge allow you to run both CO2 and nitrogen gas. Serve your beer with CO2, serve your kegged wine, or even cocktails with nitrogen. The digital temperature display has the largest range available, allowing you to use the Komos Kegerator for fermentation if you need to. And now Komos Kegerators ship with Duo-Tight draft fittings for that click-to-connect assembly we've all dreamed of. Buy direct from komosdraft.com and receive free shipping on your order. That's KOMOS draft.com.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. Oh, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, thanks for hanging. We are wrapping things up here with Brian's score sheet issues or whatever, and he's going to go knock some heads at the next BJCP meeting and target these two people specifically and get them expelled because there needs to be some sort of retribution. Brian Cooper is basically the Punisher of the BJCP world.
No.
Okay.
But
here's a question. Here's a valid question. Maybe it's not valid, but it's cool. What do you do anything with this? So you have these judges who maybe are novices. They're still learning. Do you take this? Do you take this and you go? Do you hold it close to your heart and you go, "Man, this is really what people are tasting. That sucks." Or do you want to go like? Do you have an inkling to help them? Like, hey, this isn't like correct. This is what you should be doing. Do you reach out to the proctor for the thing or whatever? Like, what do you do with this?
I was a little mad at myself for messing up and putting the wrong malt in my beer that I did.
Well, it was your son's fault, so don't be mad at you.
No, and I don't want to blame him either.
You should.
It was
his
my
fault
for not looking at the label.
No,
and I did enter it in our in club homebrew competition.
Yeah,
where we had just had elections and announced that our current president was moving on. And we have an in-club competition that takes like 4 competitions throughout the year where everybody brings their beer. And it's kind of a popular vote thing, but you present it as, I presented this beer there as an American IPA. This was brewed in January, by the way. So earlier this year, we had our meeting there. And I got just enough votes to tie for third or something in that meeting. And so it brought me up. Like I'd been entering beers over the year and I've never won our club's like home brewer of the year, but this beer, like as an American IPA, middle of the road, as it was, and there were several beers. It was like 9 or 10 beers there, I think, that it tied for third, and it helped me to earn a tie with our now past president as home brewer of the Mad Zymers for the year. And I'd never done that. I've been really making an effort to do it, and I was happy with this beer, but I'm not super happy with it. I want it to be,
I could see that,
less malty. I want it to be hoppier, actually, and brighter. And as it's aging, it's still actually hanging in there pretty good. And for some reason, I think in my mind, I just decided it was so dark that it was like, it's an amber ale. I'm just like, fuck this. I'm going to enter as an amber ale and see what the guys think. And I just like, it's a mental experiment for myself. That's wrong too. I kind of knew it wasn't a great amber ale, but it has some malt richness to it that almost leans toward that caramelly aspect.
It does, and that's what sometimes you do at the BJCP exams too. It's like, this is definitely not the style, but you need to judge it as this style.
Right.
So I thought it was a cool thought experiment. I thought it was really neat, but I don't know. Here's my thing on you as a brewer, judging your hazy beers and whatever. In my opinion, your lupulin your threshold has shifted. So I think because my feedback on your beers constantly is it's too bitter. It's too much. So you're shoving hops in there. You're like, oh, this is great or whatever. But I think that you need to be a little bit more restrained in your bitterness.
Okay. And most of the bitterness is happening in Whirlpool. It's all like there's almost no hops. There's a tiny hop addition in the beginning, just like, a couple. It
is wild, like Whirlpool, and we're not going to talk about my pale ale now, but I'll have it carbonated and ready for the next shows for you guys. Shar had a little preview of it, and it's a crazy amount of bitterness, and I'll go through my hop regimen, on the next show, but I think it's maybe even too bitter if it's just a fucking pale ale. But I did a lot of additions in the Whirlpool, so there is a lot of that I don't even think Beersmith really calculates very well anymore.
Yeah.
So it's one of those unknown.
Your pale ale was real good.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was more balanced than this beer probably.
Well,
There's
yeah, of course.
There's a 10-minute Mosaic edition and Mosaic and Galaxy at 10 minutes, Mosaic and Nelson at 5 minutes, Galaxy and Citra at 2 minutes. There's everything late, and then I do a big whirlpool for 30 minutes with Citra, Galaxy, Nelson, Sauvin, and Mosaic, and like pretty good amounts on all of these, like an ounce in a 2.5 gallon batch on that, and then I added like dry hops.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, and in the regular part of it, it's like a few ounces in a 2.5 gallon batch, and the dry hops, there's like an ounce and a half each of Citric, Galaxy, Nelson, and Mosaic Cryo, and like in the dry hop. And I don't know. I mean, do you get bitterness from dry hopping? Possibly a little bit. I don't know.
I imagine you have to at a little bit, but
I dry hopped the hell out of this beer, and it was really hard to rack. It was really hard to clear.
Yeah, same, dude. Yeah, I had to put Biofine in mine. I was like, after like day 4, I'm like, I'm just gonna keg it because it's not dropping.
Yeah,
that cryo really likes to be powdery or whatever. For me, if this were me, I would drop your bitterness 20%.
Okay, so where do I drop it? I bought a bunch of Mosaic. Mosaic is my favorite hop. I bought a bunch of Mosaic Cryo, and part of what I've been doing is trying to reduce the hop matter in the beer by using cryo hops and adding a little bit less of them. And maybe I need to keep on that trend of adding less and less, but
yeah, it's
still I want the hop aroma the hop aroma is what I want. And I've always had trouble getting the hop aroma until I started adding insane amounts of hops, and I finally got the hop aroma, but then it comes with a little more bitterness than I want.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe Shar can help you with that, but for me it's like it's like 3/4 the malt, and then it's just the vegetal hop at the end, and I don't
too
like
much
it.
plant matter.
Yeah, too much plant matter, too much bitterness, and it borders aspirin-y or whatever. Hop creep, I guess, is what it is. I don't know. Maybe we should get Nate on here.
Hop creep is when you get diacetyl from the added. You add the dry hops. But actually, this was also the first beer that I used the ALDC in, which prevents the diacetyl precursor from forming in the beer.
Next time you do something like this, I want to get an extra bottle. I want to work with Nate and Nicole. They could probably be on at the same time and have them go through it, because Nate is one of those genius hop dudes. Like he helped me out with a little bit with this pale ale that I'm going to be talking about next show. And I think it'd be great to get some feedback from people who are just focused on dry hopping and stuff like that.
I have one more bottle of the beer left, but at this point, it's already declining since January when I brewed it. So
and we probably wouldn't get to him for like another couple weeks. So all right. Well, that was cool, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was. I mean, it's a good beer. Yeah,
it's drinkable. Yeah, Nate taught our hops class for our BGSP class.
There you go.
Too. So
I mean, it is oniony. There is like an oniony garlicky.
I'm getting that as
it. Yeah.
And the warming as it keeps going, it's like, it is a little garlicky.
Yeah,
I know that where the gym socks comes in, and I don't mean to criticize.
No,
judges, I don't know. I actually like the guys that judge the beer. I know who they are, but yeah.
Look, man, I like Brian Shar too. It doesn't mean he's right all the time,
Well, thanks, man.
Okay, so if you want to get a beer on our show,
hold on a second.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Homebrew. If you want to be on the show, send an email to Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
Okay.
Thanks, Terrence. I appreciate that. You want to hear that again?
Thanks for listening to Dr. Homebrew. If you want to be on the show, send an email to Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
Can we make Bevo say it?
Yeah, we can make Bevo say it. Hold on a second. Let's see. Bev. There she is right there. Let's generate it. Let's go.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Homebrew. If you want to be on the show, send an email to Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
That's perfect. We should have that on every show.
We can. That's the beauty of it. I have 29,000 characters left to generate this month, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can also have someone called Anthony. Let's see what Anthony sounds like.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Homebrew. If you want to be on the show, send an email to Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
I fucking hate it.
Wow.
Because it's so good.
What about Walt Disney?
Walt, I'll give you Walt, and we'll get out of here because no one wants to hear us just generate this.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Homebrew. If you want to be on the show, send an email to Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com.
Wow. Classic.
We have Walt Disney asking people to be on the show.
Well, and you can like adjust the stability and the clarity, and you can just tweak around with it. It's, dude, wild shit. It's wild shit. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I appreciate that as well. And until next time, we'll see you later.